Hey guys, we're out here up in the polytunnel and I wanted to show you my beautiful adenium bloom. This is my desert rose. They're all looking quite puny and quite terrible, but look at this beautiful bloom that this desert rose put out a few days ago. So pretty. So they're looking quite puny. This one has more leaves. That's pretty good. But I probably haven't been fertilizing them enough. And I've been trying to get out here this summer and water once every week or every 10 days. I do think that the big heat wave we had set them back a bit because it does get quite hot in here, even hotter than it is outside. But everything has put on new growth and is doing overall well. I have this really interesting mammillaria that kind of split into two. It's almost like a fused cactus at the top. Instead of growing straight, it decided to put out two different, you can see, two different sides. So it's kind of an interesting shape now. But that's one of my older cactus. And I did cut back some of the etiolated growth on some of the cacti, and I do have some pups that have started to form on the ones that I cut back. So this one, this is also this is a nodo cactus. I think it used to be called Parodia, but it'll be interesting to see, you know, if I get 4 little baby Parodias, that would be nice. They'd be brand new Parodias for me. But everything is doing pretty well. Even the ones that I cut back and put under my adenium here seem to have rooted in. And this little teeny one, I don't know if you can see it, also seems to be rooted in. That's a beautiful blue color, but very, very tiny little cactus pup. So I'm going to give everything a water today. Today would be a watering day. And I don't do a lot with my cactus anymore, but I do always enjoy myself when I come in here and see these wonderful plants. They really take care of themselves. I think I'm going to put some Osmocote flower and vegetable food around it, a slow release type fertilizer. But look up back here, guys. This Opuntia basilaris has a new beautiful pad. So that was nice to see. So things are coming along. This one still looks quite terrible. This is an Opuntia quintensis, a Johnson's hybrid. Although this one has taken root because you can see that there's a pup. So it could be that this one just needs to be watered more. But this is a pretty one. I think it's a Gymnocalycium. And here's a smaller version of it. And then over here, I did have to cut these. These were very strange looking at the top. Again, they had become etiolated over the winter. And one of these, I don't know which one now, was from a friend. And she said, "Can you fix this one?" This is also a Nodocactus Linenhausii, and I love these. But this one is putting out, it looks like at least 2 new pups. So we'll see what happens there. It could mean 2 new cacti for me, which is always exciting when the plant makes new pups that you can take and root. This one I wasn't sure would survive because I had to cut it down quite low. And I do have some other ones. This is a Pilocerius, and I don't see any new pups coming. It was quite drastically cut, but we'll see. Maybe it needs some more time. But it is completely green. It does appear to still be living. So we'll see what happens with that. You know, the cacti are very resilient. Sometimes when you cut your old cacti back or one that's suffering from some type of problem, you can generate a completely new cactus from it. Then you don't have to worry about what the old one looks like. But these are all looking well. My Pilocerius have some new growth. You can see it's a lot bluer. But they're doing well. And someone had asked me about this fuzzy cactus. I think it's an Opuntia snow. And it's doing fine. I chop this one up regularly and stick in the little cuttings. It's kind of a messy looking cactus, but it's a fun one, but it's still doing fine. It's doing fine. Looking strange, but it looks like even it has some new pads forming up here. And whenever I talk about this one, I always mention that this is a cactus that is normally found in extremely hot and sunny locations, and it has the hair on it, all that fuzz, to protect itself from getting sunburned. So I always thought that was an interesting fact. I always like to mention that about that cactus. And my Opuntia violacea is not doing much. I mean, it looks fine as a pad, but it hasn't put out any new pads. So, you know, I have to say, when it's not growing, maybe in September it might grow a new pad when it's cooler. I don't know, but it hasn't done much, but it's still alive. So some of these cactus are just eking along, and some of them are doing better than others. But they do like to be out here in the polytunnel in the fresh air and sunshine. These are doing fine. My Trichocereus pachinoi, otherwise known as San Pedro cactus, just keeps getting smaller and smaller. And it does have some mealybugs on it. And sometimes spiders come and they eat the mealybugs. So I don't spray my plants that I put outside because I don't want to affect any outdoor insects. So this might be one that I just don't try to keep alive anymore. Sometimes if I can't neglect them and they can't hold their own, I've gotten really tough about it. It's got to be a tough plant to stay in my collection. But the pencil cactus, it's a euphorbia, has done really well. It just keeps, it's a very resilient plant, and it always looks good actually. So it can come inside and outside and be perfectly happy. And then all of my aloes are looking pretty good. My atrocious aloe in the back is growing really tall. Not looking atrocious anymore since I worked on it last year. And then I put some cuttings in here, and some of them seem to have taken. This is the burrowtail succulent. And some of them have taken, some of them have not. So I'll have to clean that up. But this one I think needs a repot. This is a beautiful aloe, and it's trailing all over the place. And I feel like it could use a larger pot. It's just gotten very big. Although it looks happy, maybe it likes to be crowded. Sometimes when you don't mess with things, it's better for them. And over here, we have an aloe that's putting up a bloom stalk. So that'll be nice to see it. It might actually be too tall for this spot. I might have to move it to a lower spot so it can bloom properly. But that's nice to see because this does need a repot. But I figure whenever a plant puts out a flower and is functioning normally, that's a good sign. Although sometimes they put out flowers and seeds when they think they're dying. So maybe I'm just, you know, fooling myself. I don't know, but it's nice to see a bloom stalk come up, and I'll have to come out and see how that looks when those flowers open up. And then here in the back, this is just a Ripsalis type of plant. Looks like I have to cut off some or work on that. It has a little bit of mealybug there, but no, none of the problems out here are unfixable. But that one's doing pretty well out here. I think it needs a drink. And then I have a selection of aloe in this dish garden, and some of them are doing better than others. Some of them are aloes, some of them are haworthias. I believe this is a haworthia, and I think the one around back is a haworthia as well. This one. So those are doing fine. And my jade plants are looking pretty small, but they're enjoying being out here in the summer. And we have these wonderful aloes over here. These dry out really quickly, and I think it's also time for them to have an soil refresh. Then the last cactus I wanted to show you is my beaver tail opuntia. And I have a love-hate relationship with this. It has such terrible glow kids. It looks smooth, but it has terrible glow kids, and anytime I come in contact with it, it is a week of pain. It's hard to get out these very tiny prickles. But I am down to one pot of the cuttings. At some point I had two, and I had to kind of pare it down. It wasn't looking great, but I took some cuttings, and these are the cuttings from the original plants. And it likes to have a lot of water, but it's doing really well. This plant always grows. It always puts out new pads. It just keeps growing, whether I want it to or not. So I don't get rid of it because it's so vigorous and enthusiastic, but it's not a plant that I love like some of my other cacti. Let me give them a nice drink. I like to really water them heavily, and then they dry out pretty quickly because they have sandy soil. But everything gets a really nice drink. Also, they're in terracotta, and that lets out some moisture as well. I think it's a good choice for cacti and succulents. But I give these opuntias a really big drink because they have a lot of water in them. Let me get both sides on that one. There we go. But everything gets a nice drink. And that'll be good for about 10 days, guys. I let them really dry out in between waterings, and I think that's important to do when you're watering your cacti and succulent collection. Maybe if I water these a little more, they'll make bigger pups. But it's good for a plant to know it's going to get regular water. But they are like little water holders, so they can survive a long time. Obviously, out in the wild, in the desert, they hold their water. And I'm just going to keep watering these guys. And I hope you're having fun with your plants. Thanks for watching.